Welcome to Founders Future, a podcast powered by Closers.io, where we explore the journeys of innovative entrepreneurs and the road ahead for their companies. I'm your host, Natalie Borowska, and in each episode, we uncover the stories behind impactful ventures, the challenges faced, the lessons learned, and strategies for the future. Today, I'm thrilled to be joined by Sara Miller, who is a digital marketing strategist and consultant at SM Consulting. With nearly 2 decades of experience crafting SEO, paid media, content strategy, and audience growth for technical and consumer brands. She partners hands-on leadership teams to boost. She partners hands-on with leadership teams to boost visibility and demand, especially for complex products with long buying cycles, drawing from work with heavyweights like Microsoft, AWS, Confluent, and Seagate Technology. I'm so happy to have you on the podcast today.
Thank you for having me.
Let's dive right in. What I like to do at the start of every episode is I like to journey back in time. So take us back to before you started SM Consulting. What were you doing at the time, and what motivated you to start your company?
Well, prior to starting SM Consulting, I was on a pretty traditional career path. I was working in marketing agencies, some smaller, some larger, most recently working with B2B SaaS companies, managing an SEO team. And then I left that agency to go in-house with a tech company, going in and managing all of our marketing efforts, really overseeing the website, SEO, content, paid ads. And then in October of 2024, I was a part of a RIF and my position was eliminated. And I was not sure what I wanted to do at that point. So I reached out to my network and started asking around. And rather than wanting to go down the path of taking the wrong position or taking a job somewhere where I would potentially be faced with this situation again, I decided to start taking on contract work with different companies. And that led me to starting my own business and really just taking on work across the world with clients to support them in their marketing strategies.
I see. And do you feel like you always knew you were going to be an entrepreneur, or was it something that just made sense when the time was right?
Yeah, this was definitely not something that I had planned on. I think that for me, the situation that I was in really was a blessing in disguise. I never thought that I would be able to set my own schedule and work with clients that I wanted to work with on my own. And so I feel really lucky to have gone through that. But yeah, this was definitely not something that I had ever planned on when I was younger.
But it was like, yeah, as you said, like a blessing in disguise, and you really dove into the world of entrepreneurship. So let's dive into the business today. Who would you say is your ideal customer?
That's a great question. My ideal customer is probably, I would say, a larger software company. So most of my clients are in the B2B tech space. So I work with a lot of software companies around the world. Many of them are in healthcare or cybersecurity. But I would say ideal customer would probably have a revenue of close to $1 billion annually. And they're looking for support on the content, AIO, GEO, SEO kind of strategy.
I see. And so what would you say is your core offering? Like, what does it look like to work with you specifically?
Yeah, so my offering really varies per customer. I really try to, uniquely tailor my services to what the client needs and not just, put together a static offering. So for me, the majority of my clients, I am supporting them with content strategy, content optimization, content writing, really just to cover all areas of the SEO and LLM optimization approach. I do have some clients that I support on the paid social side, not as much on, the paid ads and PPC as much as I used to. I've really tried to narrow that down and really focus on what my clients are looking for and where I can really succeed and help them. And so most of that has been on the organic side.
Like a true consultant, making sure that every offering is tailored to the business. So, yeah, that's lovely. And so, let's dive into your client acquisition. What are you currently doing in terms of lead generation? Because I know you do paid ads for your client. Is that maybe part of like what you do yourself for lead generation?
For me, my lead generation at this point has been a little bit different than what I'm doing for my clients, especially because I'm in a unique situation where I don't have a website. And so I know that's hard to hear coming from a digital marketing specialist. But for me, my lead generation typically is coming through word of mouth. And then I'm getting a lot of leads directly on LinkedIn. So I have built kind of a community up on there, consistently posting and having prospects reaching out via LinkedIn. And I would also say that I've actually gotten a lot of clients coming through different Slack channels. So I know that Slack is typically used for networking or in-house communication. But for me, I'm a part of a lot of Slack communities where people are looking for additional support. And I've actually brought on some of my largest clients through Slack communities.
That's very interesting. That's a very nuanced approach. I've never heard of any utilizing, but apparently it works. So you've heard it here first, folks.
Yeah.
And so have you ever considered like diving into paid ads in the future potentially?
I've thought about it. I think for me, my first step would probably be building out a website. And I just know that I wouldn't give my own website the love that it needs to really be successful just due to time constraints. So I do think that paid ads would be helpful if I had a website and was able to drive direct traffic to the site to really start understanding who I am. But for me, the majority of my efforts and success has been on the organic side. So really just trying to bring in leads from an organic perspective, whether that's driving people to a website, driving them to a LinkedIn page, or just connecting with them face to face and having the true organic experience.
Yeah, so a very organic approach so far, but potentially once you do dive into the world of paid ads for yourself, it will be a very like interesting thing to dive into. So we're at the start of 2026. When you think about your vision for the next 12 months, what are your goals? What are your targets? What milestones are you really looking to hit in the coming year?
Yeah, I would say over the next 6 to 12 months, my top priority is building a stronger, more predictable pipeline. So year one of the company was really just a lot of referrals and getting momentum that way. But I've heard a lot of people say that year two can be the hardest. Clients turn over, referrals slow down, and you really find out how solid the foundation is for your business. And so I see that as an opportunity. And I don't want to just always have depend on word of mouth alone for growth for the business. So I'm focused on building a demand engine for SM consulting the same way I build them for clients. So through authority, visibility, and intentional positioning.
I see. And so when you say like intentional positioning, is that through like more organic or like what does that look like specifically?
I think a lot of that really just focuses in on service offerings. Initially, when I first started out, I was saying yes to everything. So small projects, tactical work, things that were not necessarily in my wheelhouse because I didn't want to miss an opportunity that could grow into a long-term partnership. And so while I think that era was really necessary, it gave me a lot of data and opportunity to reflect. And I got to see what actually moved the needle for my clients and where I operated at a really high level. And so what became really clear was that my strength isn't just executing marketing tasks, it's building organic visibility engines. So SEO, generative search visibility, content architecture, and then structuring all of that in a way that compounds over time. So I really think just having a really focused offer for prospects that are coming in and understanding where clients are coming to me for specific areas of expertise and if they're staying with me for the long term.
I see. And what do you feel like are going to be the biggest challenges to making your goals happen in the coming year?
Honestly, I would say the biggest challenge is just capacity. Just trying to understand at what point do I bring in additional support for work that's coming in. It's kind of the balance of, what comes first, the chicken or the egg? Really, is it clients that are coming in and bringing in additional support? Or am I bringing on really strong support and looking to go out and seek higher or bringing on additional clients? So it's really just a capacity thing and trying to really figure out like how much can I take on as an individual and where do I need support from my network?
Yeah, so it sounds like potentially delegation is on the cards for you in the coming year. And I love the topic of delegation. I feel like it's so important as a business owner because if you delegate things that you don't necessarily enjoy or you're not like the expert in, then you can really focus on your zone of genius. And there's so many like different options with this. You can like either outsource like marketing with paid ads or you can outsource the sales process. There's like so many different things that you can really do. But yeah, just to make sure that you're outsourcing the right things and to the right people. Because if you make the
Yeah.
wrong hire, it can really hurt things for business, especially when you're a solopreneur and it's just you. You really need to make sure that you're making the best, like most solid hire for you and your business. So yeah, final
Yeah.
question before we log out. If you could say one thing to your younger self, what would that one thing be?
I think if I were to talk to my younger self, I think it would just be really reiterating that it's okay to make mistakes and everyone has, you know, gone through a learning journey when they're trying to start a business. It's okay to not have a perfect solution when you go to market. And I think there's a lot to be said for testing things out in the market to see how people react, people respond. Whether it is figuring out a service offering, whether it's figuring out pricing, or just figuring out how to communicate with prospects, there's always room for growth and opportunity to learn. And just knowing that it's okay to try things and not everything's going to work.
It's all just about starting. And then once you make those mistakes, you really can pivot after because if you never do it, then you don't know where you need to pivot. So, yeah, that's great advice.
Exactly.
If our listeners want to find out more about what you do, where would be the best place to find out?
I would say connect with me on LinkedIn. My name is Sara Miller, which is always very difficult to find. There's thousands and thousands of us out there, but typically, if you look for SM Consulting, it will take you there. And I have a link to it on my profile. And then the business profile also links to my personal page. So LinkedIn is definitely the best place to reach out and connect.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast today. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much.
And if you are a business owner and you're looking to scale your business and you really want to enhance your sales and marketing efforts, visit closest.io to hop on a call with our team and discover how we went from 0 to 30 million per year in less than 3 years. Until then, keep on climbing.